Jim, we have another question from Charlie in Starkville, Mississippi.
I'm sure we do.
Adam Cole recently said the biggest reason he signed with AEW is his relationship with Britt Baker. What are your thoughts on Cole's personal relationship with Baker being the biggest reason for him leaving WWE? And what do you think about the growing number of high-profile relationships between male and female wrestlers in both companies?
Second question first. I mean, I'm happy if anybody's happy, but traditionally and historically, that's been a problem in the locker room since it started happening, because what happens when you break up? And you're, in the old days, there weren't that many women in the locker room to begin with, and most of them were already with one of the guys. That's how they got there to begin with. But in times where there was an unaffiliated female talent and with unaffiliated male talents, and they got together when the inevitable happens, you had to get rid of one of them. And usually the girl was the one that would go because she was less valuable to the roster. So now there's nowhere to go because they're all under contract for extended periods of time. So that may lead to some, and not just in the WWE, but in some of the other companies. And wouldn't it, oh God, what was their name? The tag team, the one guy that I said they had bad hair and prison tattoos. They were on NXT.
MSK.
MSK, yeah, if all these initials. His wife got mad at him for asking for a divorce, so she sent the picture out of him acting like Hitler and got him fired. That's the thing with people getting together and still being in the locker room. As far as the original part one of Charlie's question, how was it phrased exactly again?
Hold on, let me pull it up once again. I actually just took it off this page.
Well, okay, you're that short and done with Charlie?
Adam Cole recently said the biggest reason he signed with AEW is his relationship with Britt Baker.
The biggest reason, not the only reason, but the biggest reason. I mean, to me, the biggest reason would have probably been money unless it was close. If it was close, then yes, you'd want to go and work where your wife or spouse or significant other is working. But to me, in there somewhere between, I just want to work in the same place as my wife so we can travel together, and if the money's comparable, that would sway me in the right direction. But if maybe Adam's told on himself, I would have asked a little more of how am I going to be used? And because he was a top guy in NXT, but then again, they just disemboweled NXT. So they probably would have sabotaged him to begin with. But I would have been sitting down with Tony like I sat there when we talked to Vince McMahon in 1986 when we were in the Carolinas, me and the Midnight. Or like I talked to Jim Crogg and Dusty Rhodes on the phone before we made that deal. How are you going to use us? Who are we going to work with? What might some of your plans be, and how are we going to be figured in? That type of thing. So, again, if he wasn't happy in the WWE, let's say even wanted to take less money, before just saying, oh, I'd love to come there and work with Britt, he should have sat down with Tony and said, how are you going to use me? And if you have no ideas, maybe I need to give you some. Because now if he'd have done that and give more importance to what he was going to be doing on television rather than just, I'm going to be here, then we wouldn't have seen him systematically destroyed over the last, 4 months has it been now, 5 months, however long it's been, to the point where who gives a shit if he's around or not? They took a talent and completely neutralized him. Was that because he was just so tickled to come to work with Britt that he didn't bother to, and he didn't care about the money? He didn't bother to think, do you have ideas for me? What am I going to be doing? Who am I going to be interacting with? That's been the biggest problem. So that's something that I would have obviously spent more time on than apparently he did, because it's come back to bite him in the ass. And after this short a time, whatever length of contract he signed, he's useless now to the company. Nobody gives a shit. So I would have spent more time on that. But that's just me.